It's always really fun in every year to look forward to the next year, this case 2023, and see what roller coasters are going to be opening up. And in 2023, there's going to be a lot of good ones. So let's take a look at every major roller coaster manufacturer and see what their best new for 2023 coaster is. Let's start with Swiss manufacturer B&M and Pipeline the Surf Coaster coming to SeaWorld Orlando. This is a stand-up coaster and the first stand-up coaster we've seen in a long time. And from the looks of it, this ride is really close to being completed, which is really exciting. The ride will feature a launch, multiple inversions, some other maneuvers, and the stand-up design is different now as far as the restraint system is concerned, so that's the most intriguing element of this ride, I think. And with that, Pipeline the Surf Coaster is going to have the ability to move up and down, which is kind of an interesting thing, and I'm not sure if it will be comfortable or not, but it's supposed to make the ride more comfortable. This is a coaster that I am very intrigued by, and when it actually opens, I'm very interested to see what people think of it. I'm not really sure if this was the best addition for SeaWorld Orlando, as I think they still need a more family type coaster. But hey, a roller coaster is a roller coaster, and Pipeline looks like a good one, so can't complain too much. Chance Rides is finally opening another installation of the Hyper GTX model after Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom has been so successful, and we're going to see it at Mattel Adventure Park in Arizona. This park seems to have some interesting offerings, and there will be themes like Hot Wheels, Barbie, and Thomas the Train. The roller coaster itself is supposed to have a launch along with a couple of inversions. In the original pictures, there was shown to be a Sidewinder inversion, but that has been replaced with 2 vertical loops along with a corkscrew. I don't really know how well toys translate to a theme park, and I don't think they translate as well as like a movie or an IP in that way would, but nonetheless, it's interesting to see, and this roller coaster looks like a lot of fun. For Great Coasters International, or GCI, we're talking Zambezi Ziner at Worlds of Fun, and I'm sorry if I can't pronounce that name correctly. Anyways, this looks like a pretty fun wood coaster. Kind of a puzzling addition to the park, but at this point, any addition is welcome. Even with Zambezi Ziner having sections of steel track, GCI does strictly wood coasters, and I think this is going to be a fun family/thrill ride. They did a good job paying homage to the park's original Zambezi Ziner with the spiral lift hill and some other things. And I think the layout looks pretty solid too, with low-to-the-ground turns and airtime moments. It was kinda sad to see this park go so long without getting a roller coaster, so I'm very glad that Cedar Fair is finally making the investment. If you're a fan of wood coasters, be sure to book a ticket to Kansas City in 2023. For Gerstlauer, let's talk Palindrome at Codaland. This coaster honestly looks like a great time, and I love the name too, because a palindrome is a word that is spelled the same forward or backward, like race car. And this ride is of course a shuttle coaster. It features a couple of inversions, a vertical lift hill, and a beyond vertical drop. The ride doesn't look to be particularly long, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of dead spots in Palindrome. Gerstlauer's mojo nowadays is vertical lift coasters with beyond vertical drops and lots of inversions. Palindrome has that, but it's also a shuttle, so it's unique. I can see why the folks at Codaland are excited about their 2023 coasters, this being one of them because it looks like a great time. Intamin has quite a few coasters that look good for 2023. But the one that I chose was Tuotatis at Park Asterix, and again, I probably butchered that name, but regardless, this looks like an incredible roller coaster. This is one of those roller coasters that really looks like it has everything you want from a layout perspective. I think Park Asterix needed a roller coaster like this, and we got a very good looking one. Intamin really hit this one out of the park. It really reminds me a lot of Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg with that swing launch section, but this ride seems to be on steroids. I have absolutely no idea if and when I'll ever be able to ride this roller coaster in France, but it looks like it's worth going to France alone. We have known about this roller coaster for a very long time, and sometimes when that happens, a ride disappoints, but I don't think that's going to happen in this case. It really does look like a superb experience and a great addition for this park. Speaking of roller coasters that we've known about for a very long time, how about Aquaman Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas? This roller coaster is built by Mack Rides, and it is a cool looking ride, but the ride was originally supposed to open in 2020, but you know what happened there. Then you throw in the fact that Six Flags is adding the ride, and it makes sense why this coaster hasn't opened yet. I know that during this time that they've been doing some modifications to the ride, but regardless, it looks like a fun ride. It's a Mack Rides power splash with a couple launches and an airtime hill that looks like it could give some sweet airtime at parts with two big spikes. Launches, airtime, weightlessness, and most important in Texas, water. I don't know how much I like the addition as far as the park's lineup is concerned, but as far as the weather in Texas is concerned, people will love it on hot days. So there you have it, there's Aquaman Power Wave. American manufacturer Rocky Mountain Construction has two amazing looking coasters opening next year. Let's start with Air Force One going to Fun Spot America Atlanta. This ride looks perfect all around. From the fact that it's built by RMC, the layout looks amazing, and even the color scheme I really like too. I just think this is such a good addition to this park. To be 100% honest, I didn't even really know that this park existed before this ride was announced. This is how much of an impact this ride will have. But when it comes to RMC in 2023, the debate will be, is Air Force One going to be better, or is Wildcats Revenge going to be better? The latter coaster opening at Hershey Park. This is going to be a close call, I think, but talk about two drastically different parks. Fun Spot America Atlanta is really put on the map with Air Force One, and with this coaster to Hershey Park, there's been conversation. Is Hershey Park the best coaster park in all of the United States? I think it's tough to deny that they're top 3 now. I've heard it said before that the one coaster Hershey Park needed to put them over the top was an RMC. Well, you got it now. Rocky Mountain Construction always seems to have killer rides, and with this coaster and Air Force One, I think they are going to have another awesome collection for 2023. Wildcats Revenge is a reskin of the old Wildcat Wood coaster built by GCI all the way back in the 90s, but this roller coaster added height, speed, inversions, and really fun. I can't wait to get on these two rides, and I can't wait to see the reactions other people have from riding them for the first time. Next, let's talk about the coolest kiddie coaster on the market. Built by Skyline Attractions, they have a really cool ride here, I think. It's going to be going to Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and it was just recently announced, so there isn't much information on it. A single rail, dueling kiddie coaster. This looks awesome. Not from the perspective that this is going to be the best ride in the park, but from the perspective that this is going to be a terrific coaster for kids and their families alike. This is one of the only kiddie coasters I can think of that I am genuinely excited to ride at some point, because it just looks like such a cool concept. These type of coasters I think will be great at family entertainment centers, but it's great to see Six Flags adding one of these too. Hopefully Skyline's kiddie coasters are better than their thrill coasters, because those were not considered to be good rides. But regardless, these kiddie coasters look like a lot of fun. The Pescetti Bowl concept overall is really unique, and I really think it could catch on. Six Flags Fiesta Texas manages to stay in the news even when they aren't adding a thrill coaster. You could argue that Vekoma has the best lineup of roller coasters for 2023. You got Tron at Magic Kingdom, you got Big Bear Mountain opening up at Dollywood, which looks like a really good family coaster actually. And you have Codaland again with Circuit Breaker. I think now you have to put Codaland up there for having the best and most unique 1-2 punch of any park out there. We discussed Palindrome earlier, but Circuit Breaker is a tilt coaster by Vekoma, and this ride looks absolutely wild. The tilt track element is of course bonkers, but then the rest of the layout looks really solid. Circuit Breaker is not for the faint of heart, and even if it didn't have the tilt track element, I think it would still be a good ride with the inversions, maneuvers, and drops. But obviously that tilt track element puts it over the top as just an insane ride. I'm sure most of you have seen those clickbait thumbnails where the track is just gone. Well, this is a ride that you could actually do that and it wouldn't be clickbait at all. I'm really intrigued to see where this park goes, but for Vekoma, I don't think that they could have done a much better job here. I think they hit Circuit Breaker out of the park. It's really quite exciting to see one of these new generation Vekomas coming to the United States, and I can't wait to see what they bring next. And if their 2023 batch of rides is any indication, then it's gonna be good. Finally, for Zamperla, let's talk about Wild Mouse at Cedar Point. No, this is not a major thrill ride, but it's a good addition to Cedar Point. They don't have a spinning coaster, and they could use a family coaster like this, so I'm all for it. And it's not just a spinning Wild Mouse either. There's a lot more to this layout than just the Wild Mouse elements, which I think is really cool. This is not going to be the best coaster at Cedar Point, there's no doubt about that, but it is going to be a fun family coaster, there's no doubt about that. Zamperla, Wild Mouse, there isn't a whole lot to talk about here, but it's a solid addition, and I think Zamperla did a good job with this model and this coaster for Cedar Point. Well, there you have it. There are going to be some wild coasters opening up in 2023, and I'm really excited to ride some of them whenever I can. Now, it should be noted that I didn't include every manufacturer you might notice, I just included the manufacturers that had a major roller coaster to add. Because it kinda seems pointless to me to even mention them if there isn't anything notable for this list. So that's gonna do it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.